Okay, hello everyone and welcome back to Injustice 2. So with the first Evo for Injustice 2 being done, I think we can very well expect a balance patch to be dropping for this game soon. I think, if not sooner, probably after Starfire is released, which is kind of quote-unquote the Combat Pack 1 of this game. I really hope it's going to be coming soon because this game needs rebalancing, and people who say the game doesn't are talking shit because this game definitely needs some changes. So today I'm going to go over what I think some of these characters need in terms of buffs and nerfs. Honestly, I think this game needs more nerfs than buffs. By what I mean by that is that a lot of these characters are fine. A lot of the characters in the game, like Cheetah, Bane, Harley Quinn, even characters like the Joker, are completely fine, except for the fact that the top tiers currently are so good that they completely destroy anyone who's even below them. And I think that's the biggest problem. The problem is that the top tiers are simply too good. And I think that's why there needs to be more nerfs to these top tiers rather than buffs, because I think a lot of these characters are completely usable. However, there are still some characters that need buffs, starting with our friend Swamp Thing. Now, I'm not going to go too deep into this because I made a whole separate video on Swamp Thing. However, this character needs some changes. First of all, you have his down 1, which I apparently cannot do. This is his best mid. He can tick throw off of it, and he should be able to combo into this, and he can. However, as soon as you meter burn it to launch, this is kind of a bitchy input. Yeah. As soon as you meter burn it, which I apparently cannot do, I was able to do this before. See, doesn't combo anymore. Now the problem with this is that this is one of Swamp Thing's best, most reliable mids, and every single other character can link into their special moves and even sometimes their launchers from their down 1, except Swamp Thing. So it's like, why doesn't he have it? The only reason I can think of is that this is an oversight. Other thing, if you didn't know, Swamp Thing can combo this twice. However, the problem with it is that this is one of the trickiest inputs in the game and one of the most inconsistent combos. See, it worked the first time, dropped the second time. The other major buff Swamp Thing needs is more consistent combos because he has all sorts of issues with smaller hitbox characters, with combos being very difficult to link into themselves. It's just a mess. He also needs to have normal speed back 3 and forward 3s. Like slower back 3s and forward 3s are okay for some characters. For example, Scarecrow. One of the reasons is because Scarecrow makes up for it with his other tools. However, Swamp Thing does not make up for it with his other tools. There is absolutely no reason this back 3 and forward 3 should be slower. They need to be the same speed as everyone else's. Finally, Abigail's Garden. This thing is okay in the corner, but only in the corner. As I said in my separate Swamp Thing video, either no one has figured out what to do with this move, or the move is useless. And I mean, a lot of people play Swamp Thing, and no one has figured out what to do with this thing mid-screen especially. In the corner it's okay, but like, okay, it's under you. I think it should have some other property. Maybe it should heal Swamp Thing. Or the other thing I could think of is maybe it should have a feature where you could cast it under the enemy and put pressure on them. Because the idea itself is okay. It prevents them from jumping, it deals chip damage. The problem with it is just setting it up mid-screen, especially in a game where there are so many zoners. Like, this is supposed to be a defensive tool, but there are so few characters that cannot contest full screen. Out of all the characters I'm going to be covering, Swamp Thing probably needs the most changes. That's why I kind of went deeper into this character. Alright, let's move on. Alright, the next character we're going to be talking about is Blue Beetle. Now, this is another one of those characters that's almost fine. He's almost there. I think with the nerf to the top tiers, he will become better. However, there's one thing he needs. This is probably the only character in the game who does not have a single decent mid attack. Like, this would be fine. It launches, it travels a good distance. However, the problem with this move is that it is completely unsafe. And when you think about all the tools Blue Beetle lacks, he cannot really go into bounce cancels, he does not really have solid ground damage, he does not have many mix-ups. The least he could have is a good mid. And I think if they make this safe, that would be really, really helpful. It doesn't have to be plus, doesn't have to be advantage. It just needs to be safe. The other thing, I don't know if this is an oversight, but the fact that you have to do like this micro walk forward for this combo is kind of ridiculous. No other character has to do this, especially when you look at how little this combo actually deals. I cannot do it, but it deals like 230 damage. No combo for that little damage should be that difficult. Finally, for Blue Beetle, the Blade Stance. As far as I see other Blue Beetles and also when I play this character, the Blade Stance has absolutely zero uses. The problem is that Blue Beetle's projectile is one of his best tools, so why would you ever lock yourself out of it? Sure, it gives him more range, but you know, they need to figure something out. He should either have more combo ability, he should have maybe more unique strings in the Blade Stance, or the other thing could be maybe in Blade Stance he could do a little bit more damage, because he doesn't even do more damage in this stance. Like, see, 124, 124. Alright, next up we're gonna be starting to get into the nerfs category. This is very minor, but I think for Catwoman, the fact that her hitbox is completely screwed after back 3 is kind of shitty. She low profiles everything. There are characters in the game who literally cannot punish this move. And you know, if you didn't play Mortal Kombat X, you probably don't know that Mortal Kombat X had all sorts of hitbox issues, with mainly with characters low profiling. Melina was especially bad at this. She low profiled everything with her ball roll. And this is mostly gone in Injustice 2, except for Catwoman. I really think that it does give her an unfair advantage when you have a move that cannot be punished. So I think the hitbox should be a little adjusted just for this move. I mean, it's very minor because I think otherwise Catwoman, there are no problems with her, except maybe this, but honestly, even this is fine in some respects. However, the back 3 needs to be changed. Okay, this is gonna be a minor buff. I just remembered this as I was selecting the new characters. This character is my main, so I should have thought of this, but whatever. Captain Cold / Mr. Freeze. The problem with this character, one of the big problems, is that the most useful trait he has, the level 2, this Ice Bomb, this thing resets if the character backdashes. I think I can set this guy to backdash. Maybe not. But, okay, whatever. Yeah, if you didn't know, you throw one of these bombs out, which is supposed to be one of his big tools for controlling space. If your enemy backdashes, the freeze timer resets. And I think that is completely stupid. I'm fairly sure this is an oversight from NRS, and it shouldn't be this way. However, I do think this needs to be changed, because right now, Captain Cold's trait is almost useless. This thing is still the best, but most of the time the opponent will be able to really easily get out of it. Alright, next up we're going to get into the big nerfs, the big guns. Deadshot. Now, for some reason there is this weird thing where if you say that Deadshot needs nerfs, you immediately trigger a bunch of people and they get really salty. However, no one is ever going to convince me that Deadshot does not need a nerf to his mix-ups. This character is arguably the best zoner in the game. He is the best for sure. He has insane zoning, air control, projectiles that pretty much cover the entire screen. So my question is, why the fuck is this character really good up close? He has a safe wake up, he has a ridiculous overhead and low combo, he has an instant low and an instant overhead that can be full comboed. Why? This character is a zoner. And then you look at a character that like Dr. Fate, who is also a zoner but barely has anything. That character has nothing going for him up close. And then you have fucking Deadshot with one of the best zoning tools in the game, and they give him overheads and lows. This thing I think is like, yeah, it's a -1. It's -1, you can just keep going with it. You can go into the overhead suddenly. You have, again, a safe wake up and some of the best projectiles in the game. Why? Honestly, what this character needs is the second hit of this needs to be a mid. You'll still have to guess, but at least you won't have to deal with the stupid overhead and lows constantly assaulting you. Okay, so now that I've triggered a bunch of people, let's go and talk about Superman. I think, honestly, out of all the quote-unquote top-tier characters, Superman is mostly fine. There's only one thing that needs to be changed. This thing shouldn't launch in the corner. If you don't know, this move is really ambiguous. It can cross up, it can hit on the ground, it can go overhead, it can go in front. It's really unpredictable and really difficult to block. So this tool really shouldn't lead into a full combo. It's strong enough on its own, even though it's kind of difficult to link off of. Still, yeah, it shouldn't lead into a full combo. However, in terms of Superman, I really think that's the only change he needs. Overall, I think as far as this game goes, this character is actually fairly straightforward and fine. Alright, Black Adam, the big guy that everybody hates. To be honest, this character is really fun. I'm not gonna lie about it. Dealing ridiculous amounts of damage is really entertaining, and yeah, again, no problems in that. However, you do have to admit that the damage is ridiculous. So, two things this character needs. One, tone down the damage. He needs just more combo scaling. Especially, I think the main offender is this move. This move seems to have like no scaling on it whatsoever. Look at how much the damage jumps up as soon as I do this move. It's ridiculous. So what I think this character needs is just to tone down the scaling a little bit, especially on this move. The other thing, the trait. The trait is fine. Again, you can throw off of it, there are mind games. However, Black Adam really shouldn't be able to kill off of this. I think what this move should do is, if it hits you when you're in a state where it would kill you, it should just leave you at critical health. It should leave you at like 1 HP. However, killing off of this is kind of cheap, and literally a Black Adam can just sit there, and if you're a character that doesn't have any type of zoning, you are basically fucked. You either have to wait for it to run out, but Black Adam can just dash in and kill you, so he really shouldn't be able to kill off of that. Alright, next up we're gonna talk a little bit about Atrocitus. To be honest, out of all the characters, this is the one that I really don't know what should be done with. The problem is that I don't really have too much experience with this character. However, I think most people agree that he needs to be toned down a little bit. As soon as he gets Dexter out, his pressure becomes basically the best in the game. And you have this string, I think. Yeah, he has like insanely plus strings. He has a low. He can basically interrupt your offense at any time while blocking, because you can just spam Dexter. His pressure is insane. However, I'm gonna completely admit that I have no idea what should be done with this character, because if I feel like they make it so that Dexter disappears on hit, then this character is going to become completely useless, because Dexter is his main tool. This character isn't really that solid when he doesn't have Dexter out. However, the other problem is he's way too good when he has Dexter out, so I honestly don't know. There has to be some compromise, maybe make his strings a little bit less plus. That could be one of the options. However, I will fully admit that I really don't know. However, something needs to be changed a little bit with this character. Alright, finally we're going to get into the big guy himself, the Evo champion, Aquaman. This character is definitely one of the biggest problems in the game right now. He needs to be changed, and he needs to be changed big time. What's the main problem with this character? Well, there are a fucking lot. First of all, this character is arguably the best defensive character in this game. You can turtle with him all day. Why? Well, he has one of the best counter zoning tools in the game. There are literally very few ways that if you're playing a zoner, even a zoner like Deadshot, that you can beat an Aquaman. The character's counter-zoning tools are way too good. Like, ridiculously good. Other thing, his walk-back speed. His walk-back speed is incredibly quick when you think about how far-ranging his normals are. He basically has Scarecrow's back 3 without the risk, because it's much faster and he also has much better walk speed. Now add that to the fact that his normals reach incredibly far. He pretty much has an instant low and a overhead that's reactable, however not so much. He also has ridiculous damage, and his damage... Oops. I know you can link that, I don't know why I'm not able to do it. But you can also go into this and whatever. But you can go into this, and again, I don't play much Aquaman, but even then, this is just a dumb combo. I got pretty good damage. Next up, Trident Rush. This move is ridiculous. I don't know who at NRS thought this was a good idea and what they were smoking. Don't get me wrong, on hit, no problem with this move, whatever. However, this move shouldn't be able to be used as a wake up. If you don't know, this move does have invincibility. You can use it on wake up, even though it's not that good. However, that means that Aquaman's low scoop, which is supposed to be his actual wake up, is completely useless. Next up, I think everyone knows what the problem with this is. Look at that chip damage. Like, if I block a move, if I make the right guess, I shouldn't be forced to take like 15% of my life. I didn't even do it fully well. You can get all the hits to connect. Yeah, this is not a good trade-off, because the idea is supposed to be, if you want to stay safe, you can go and do this. If you want to commit for big damage, you can go into the from the deep, which is risky. However, this move is so good that you literally in the end have the same end. When you think about how good Aquaman's defensive tools are, the fact that he can just sit all day and spam this. So yeah, this character needs changes. What does he need? First of all, this Water of Life. It pretty much gives him a get out of jail free card at any time. I don't know how this move should be changed. Maybe it should not get him out of combos immediately, because the payoff is just so good. You literally get hit on the ground, bam, and you're out. Second of all, I think From the Deep needs to not be a trackable move. What it should be is a move that you can aim, because compared or added to all his defensive tools, this is just way too good. The fact that you can basically not do anything, or you have to be very careful advancing in, because anytime he can just go bam and hit you with it. And from like this distance, he can immediately go into a full combo. So I think From the Deep should have a little bit of prediction on it. If you see your opponent advancing, you could do the close one and still hit him with it. Finally, the chip damage on Trident Rush absolutely needs to be reduced. Reduce the chip damage so that maybe it deals, I don't know, 5% or something, but reduce the chip damage and make it not invincible on wake up, so people will actually have a reason to use Aquaman's actual wake up. I think with all of these changes, and again, I'm not saying I'm like some big expert, these are changes I hope they will do. Maybe they will, maybe they won't, but I think that with these changes, the game will be a little bit more balanced. I think, like I said at the beginning, it's more about nerfing the characters that are really, really too powerful, instead of necessarily buffing the characters, because again, a lot of characters are completely fine in this game, and I think they are going to be more viable and more used if the really good characters are toned down a little bit. So again, hope I didn't trigger anyone too much. This is just my opinion. You have the right to disagree. You have the right to say that there are no problems with Aquaman. He's completely fine. But yeah, for now I'm gonna wrap it up here. Thank you guys very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe, and I'll see all of you next time. Goodbye.